Hi Leo, Sun, Moon, Ascendant, or Venus. This is Dane, and I'm going to be doing your May 2021 full moon reading for you. Now I ask if this reading resonates with you, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, and also to subscribe to my channel. And if you would like to be notified whenever I upload new videos, and I upload all the time, just hit the bell notification button. And if you're interested in any of the cards that I'm using, they will all be listed and linked in the description box below. And if you want to help my channel out, which I would greatly appreciate, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. All right, with that said, let us clear the energy space, raising our own energy vibration and releasing any negativity. So take a nice deep breath in, exhaling whenever it feels comfortable for you. Releasing all negativity from the body like storm clouds. Letting yourself feel calm, centered, and at peace as we enter into this safe and loving space. Let's let the bowl sing as we see what the tarot has to say. Leo. How will Leo be affected by the May 2021 full moon? How will Leo be affected by the May 2021 full moon? How will Leo be affected by the May 2021 full moon? How will Leo be affected by the May 2021 full moon? Angels and spirit guides, show me clearly. Guide this reading and show me clearly. Angels and spirit guides. Angels and spirit guides. Fantastic. All right, think of this as a tree. We have the branches here, the trunk and the roots right here. So the left-hand side is the inner self, the middle, the heart, the emotional self. The right-hand side, the public arena, the public self. And this is what's rooting us, what's supporting us throughout this whole entire time. So we have the Knight of Swords, air sign energy, Gemini, Libra, Aquarius. The new moon on the 10th of June is in Gemini, so that's going to come through very strongly. And we have the Nine of Cups. We have the Queen of Cups, water sign energy, Pisces, Scorpio, Cancer. And we have the High Priestess. So emotionally, we're very in tune to things during this time. Our hearts, we have the Five of Wands and the Eight of Wands. There's some conflict here that's coming up, and things are moving a lot more quickly than we would actually like them to. So just be mindful of that. In the public arena, we have the Eight of Swords and the Hangman. So we're feeling stuck, we're feeling a bit trapped, overwhelmed, and we're not seeing things the same way as everybody else. So it can be that we feel trapped because we're looking at a situation so differently than people around us are perceiving it. So that's something to be very much aware of during this time. Now, on the 26th of May is the full moon in Sagittarius, and this full moon really does hold a punch. So it's called the flower moon, named by the Native Americans for the flowers that bloom in May. It is the biggest and the brightest moon of the whole entire year. It gives off astoundingly strong energy. It is the second supermoon of 2021, and it is the closest moon to the Earth. So this is going to be a highly intense, highly powerful time. And we see that it affects us in the public arena by feeling stuck and feeling afraid. And a lot of the conflicts that we have are coming up. And this makes perfect sense because this supermoon is also a lunar eclipse. So the lunar eclipse heightens everything. It's also a blood moon, so everything gets amplified. And this moon is in Sagittarius, so it says look at the bigger picture. But with this moon in Sagittarius, Sagittarius is ruled by Jupiter, by benevolent Jupiter. And what this means is that this is a time where we would rather laugh than judge. This is a time for optimism and positivity, and this is a time to be more laid back and adventurous and wisdom seeking. And this is going to be a time where everything is kind of emotion based. Okay, we're going to be astoundingly idealistic. Our emotions are going to be really geared towards idealism. And the problem with that is that not only are our emotions geared towards idealism, but also everybody else's are. And my idea of perfection and your idea of perfection, they're not going to be the same thing. So when we have this moon coming up, this moon that says, kind of hang back, lay back, just enjoy the ride, see what happens. But then with the emotions being amplified and with, us seeking wisdom and positivity and adventure and trying not to judge, but also kind of wanting things to go our way, it can make things a little bit tricky. Now, this full moon is, of course, in Sagittarius, and the sun is in Gemini. So these are sister signs, and just as sisters in real life, they can build each other up, be the best of friends, but they can also be the worst of enemies and tear each other down at the most vulnerable parts. So this can be a time where we have this tremendous power going on. We have this tremendous insight into ourselves, but then also we have this tremendous insight into our flaws and what's not going out right and how things are not going the way that we want them to. So that's going to be something that we need to be aware of, and it comes through in our hearts, in our emotional self, but also in our public arena, where it makes it more difficult to make decisions. Now, this lunar eclipse will greatly affect Gemini, Sagittarius, Virgo, and Pisces. So look at the areas that you have these within your natal chart and know that these parts of our personality are going to come out more during this time, during this lunar eclipse, but then also during the solar eclipse on the 10th of June with the new moon in Gemini. And this is a time also with the moon square Jupiter that we need to be very mindful of the news and the revelations that we receive, because everything is going to be kind of on this heightened scale. Like everything's going to be a bit more exaggerated than it needs to be. So we need to be mindful of that. Now with this lunar eclipse, it brings to a head what we need to see as the truth, because it's in Sagittarius. It brings to a head the things that we need to see as truth. So what's going to happen is during this time is we're going to be calling ourselves out on the areas for which we are stuck, overwhelmed, and not able to move the way that we want to. So look at the big picture, all right? With the full moon eclipse, conclusions are within reach because everything gets amplified. And it's kind of like the temperature gets turned up 100 degrees. So of course, everything is going to intensify. Now, with the supermoon, emotions are running high and there's attraction. We start to attract to ourselves what emotionally we are focusing on, what we need, what we desire, what we're looking towards. So during this time, what emotionally we are focused on, where we are in our mind space, in our heart space, that's what we start to manifest within the world. And that is for the positivity, but that's also for the negativity. So be very, very mindful of this, Leo, because you're such a strong, forceful sign. You have such energy to you that what you focus on during this time gets amplified in the very best ways, but also in the very worst ways, all right? Now, with the solar eclipse brings new beginnings. And this is a time for the unexpected to happen, but it's going to happen in our heads first. So we'll be like, oh my gosh, I saw that, I visualized that in my mind's eye, and then it happened, and I can't believe that it's totally wild, it's totally not what I wanted, that type of thing, or it's exactly what I wanted, but it seems so far-fetched, so out there. So communication is key with this Gemini energy, and the new moon will be in Gemini, the sun will be in Gemini. This is a time where communication, understanding, language, the ability to connect is going to be so important. And what's going to happen is that things start happening in our minds first, and then we start to see them play out in real life. So this means that we have to just be very mindful of our thoughts, of our meditation, of the way that we are connecting. It brings us then on the 24th of June to the full moon in Capricorn. And all this time, these sister signs coming together, this intensity, this ferocity of emotions, this looking at the bigger picture of what is desired and what is needed, and the communicating with ourselves, with our spirit guides, with our angels, with the people around us in the world. what we want and the road that we're headed down, it brings us to very stable, very sensible Capricorn, the full moon in Capricorn on the 24th of June. And it says the end of a rough cycle, the end of a tough cycle approaches. And that's what we're going to see. We're going to see all the dreams, all the emotions, all the happenings coming together, and coming together for a powerful and real reason. So this is going to be the grounding moon. This is going to be the more picky moon, but this is going to be the moon that lets us see if we're on the right path, and then will totally call us out if we're not. So just be mindful of that, and that it's moving towards something very solid. And then during May, the spirit animals for May are the beaver spirit and the elk spirit. And I have standing in for the elk, the stag spirit, because it really amplifies what the elk spirit is saying. So the elk spirit represents a time of plenty, of entering into a time of plenty, and everything you need, you'll get. Not everything you want, but everything you need. That's important. So the stag spirit says, take the leap, because you're entering into a time of plenty, because everything you need, you will get. And the beaver spirit here says, lay a solid foundation, because the beaver spirit is all about trusting our creativity and accomplishments through cooperation. This is also motivating us to jump, to start, to go, to get. So these two coming together is astoundingly powerful. Now in June, the spirit animals of action move to the deer spirit and the eagle spirit. And these were more contemplation. So the deer spirit says, bring a gentle touch. The deer spirit symbolizes sensitivity, intuition, gentleness, and fertility. In Buddhism, the deer spirit symbolizes harmony, happiness, peace, and longevity. The eagle spirit says spirit has your back. Well, the eagle spirit represents leadership and authority. In Native American tradition, the eagle is closely linked to the creator and is seen as the messenger. So with this creative, not creative, but yes, kind of creative, but creator energy, okay? The energy of divinity, the energy of the creator, and the eagle being the messenger of the creator. This is symbolic to courage, strength, and wisdom. So when spirit says, I have your back, it's because spirit is directly linked to the divine, to the creator. And it's like, I can see clearer than you ever can. I can fly higher than you ever can. Trust. Trust that what you are nurturing, trust that what you are building, the kindness of your heart. And let's remember, and let's be honest here, to live in this world and to reach any age of maturity and still be kind is extraordinary, because our world wants to beat that out of us. So here, embracing the heart, embracing the soul, looking at what is desired, and being able to build a solid foundation, that's going to be absolutely intrinsically important to us during this time. So let's look at our chakra energy for this time. How will Leo be affected by the May 2021 full moon? How will Leo be affected by the May 2021 full moon? Angels and spirit guides, show me clearly. Truth, the throat chakra, which makes perfect sense. This is a time to speak our truth, to embrace our truth, to say what needs to be said, and not to hide away. It would be easier to hide away. It would be, at times, more suited to keeping the peace. But to embrace the balance of what we desire, to look at who we are and where we need to be, and say, this is my truth, this is where I stand, and this is what I stand for. That's going to be very important. And it leads us to the Knight of Swords. Now, the Knight of Swords energy has two ways of being seen. One, it is this ferocious energy that comes forward and sweeps us away and, is rash and brash and just goes after what it wants. But the Knight of Swords, for me, also symbolizes the sense of being our own white knight, being our own hero of the story. So here, what we are seeing is that our wishes are coming true, but it's not through stagnation. It's not because we're just sitting back. It's because we're going after things. We're thinking things through, we're looking at things, and we're charging forward. We're going after what we want and what we need and what we desire and what we see. The Knight of Swords is the symbolic representation of us defeating the dragons within us, the monsters that hold us back. We cut through our demons. We cut through the poison of this world. We rise in energy vibration, but also in consciousness and in connection with divinity. And we start to see what is right for us. We wear our armor because the world is not kind. And we know that, and yet it doesn't stop us. There is a rashness here, and that we do have to be mindful of, especially when it comes to matters of the heart during this time. Our fire energy comes in, and we have the fire energy of Sagittarius coming forward. We want to be very mutable, and we want to be very, fluid in our ideas and our approaches, and it's time to change, and yet we're going to, at times, just let it burn. We're going to say, okay, just destroy it all and see what happens. Yeah, just put it all in. And this is a time where we can feed that fire very, very easily. But if we step back and we say, well, what is right for me? Where am I going? What am I heading towards? What do I want? What do I need? What am I seeing? And there's a sense of us not seeing the gifts that are around us. We are guarding ourselves, at times, most definitely. We're guarding what we've worked so hard for. But if we spend so much time just sitting there saying, yeah, this is what I have, and not really seeing it, we forget it. We don't understand it. So here, there is a sense of we're not seeing the gifts that are before us. We're not seeing all that we have achieved. There's also a sense of there being a wish that comes forward, there being a beauty that comes forward. And all of a sudden, it starts to open up the door and open up our eyes. Other people are going to see this much more easily than we will see it ourselves. We have demons to cut through. We have dragons to slay and poison to abolish from our inner selves. And that's what leads us to who we are, our inner person. The Queen of Cups rules through love, kindness, and respect. And that's what we need to embrace for ourselves. Love and kindness, respect and beauty. This sense of nurturing and developing. The High Priestess sees more than what's laid before us, as does the Queen of Cups. This is a sense, and this is a time where all of a sudden, we really need to start trusting our instincts, trusting our emotions, not letting our hearts get the best of us, because there's something here that has to do with pride that starts to come into play. It's kind of like when you want somebody to like you, not because you necessarily like that person, but because that person better, darn well like you, right? And when that doesn't happen, we can get annoyed, even though we didn't really like that person to begin with. So that's the type of energy that comes here. And that's over the heart. And it feels, I'm just remembering teenage me, it feels very kind of teenager-y or early 20s, that type of energy. But there's just this sense of, okay, I can force it, or I can step back and see what transpires. And if we connect with our inner selves, that's going to be something we're able to do a lot more easily. We're going to be able to look beyond the veil, beyond what everybody's trying to show us, beyond what, others want us to see. And we're going to be able to start seeing ourselves, seeing what we desire, what we want. We're going to be very connected to wisdom, but spiritual wisdom, spiritual understanding, this deeper desire, this sense of coming home. That's going to be very important. Water, the fact that, silent waters run deep, that's going to be a part of us during this time. We don't need to share everything with everybody. And what's more important is we don't want to. This is a time where we take things in, where we learn, where we see, where we call things forward. And it moves us to our hearts. And what we're going to see here is we're going to see the avenues and the areas where there's a lot of conflict. Now, this can be external, but I see this more as internal. A lot of scars that we have accumulated over time, a lot of hurts, a lot of pains. And all of a sudden, things are going to start moving very quickly for us, emotionally. We're going to start to see us pushed out of our comfort zone. We're going to start to see things changing. We're going to start to see ourselves changing. And there's a sense of, am I ready for this? And we're going to be fighting against it. This is an emotional change that divinity is really giving to us. And that is really going to empower us. But it's also going to be overwhelming. It's also going to make us question, am I doing the right thing? Am I moving forward the right way? Do I know what I want? Do I know where it is that I want to be? And that's what makes us feel so stuck when it comes to the public arena. Because emotionally, we're on shaky ground. We're going through this metamorphosis. We're going through this change. And as we change, we start to feel like no matter what I choose, I'm going to make a mistake. No matter what I do, somebody's going to yell at me. I can never do the right thing. I can never move the right way. And that's not necessarily going to be true. we have to change the way that we're seeing things. We also have to call forward our unique insight. And instead of saying, oh, it's wrong, saying, oh, okay, this is the way that I see it. It doesn't have to be the way that anybody else sees it, but this is the way that I see it. It empowers me. It emboldens me. It helps me look at things differently. I'm not trapped because I'm looking at things in a very different way, in a very honest way, in a very real way for me. And that starts to open up the door. But we can overthink, and we will overthink when it comes to the public arena. And we have to be very mindful of that. We're going to worry about how others perceive us. We're going to worry about how we perceive ourselves. We're going to analyze every little thing that we say, every little thing that we do. And that's putting ourselves in a cage that is stifling and undeserving. So stop. Stop and say, I'm different. And that's okay. And that's going to be one of my greatest powers during this time. So let's see here. What is the healing insight that is guiding Leo? What is the healing insight that is guiding Leo? Angels and spirit guides, show me clearly. The healing insight that is guiding you is moving you away from the poverty mentality. All right? So when the poverty mentality comes in, this is a sense of, now this is a sense of lack. Now the sense of lack can stem from our childhoods where we had struggle with money. We always heard our caregivers arguing about money. We were always told there wasn't enough money. We were always very mindful of money. Everything was about money. This could also come later on in life when we're with our partner and all of a sudden things become about money. The lack of money, they bring that into the relationship. The imbalance of power when it comes to money gets brought in. These are pains around money, but around power, around freedom, around independence. And all of a sudden, this starts to come forward. And this is what we're healing in our inner selves. This is where the veil is being lifted from our eyes. And it's like, well, why was I so afraid? Why was I so terrified to get myself this? I needed it. It was important. It was valuable. It's kind of like if you're in the United States, right? And you need to buy insurance. But you're thinking, oh my gosh, it's so expensive. I can't. So you just kind of cross your fingers and say, okay, I'll be fine. But if you actually buy the insurance and then you look at it and you're like, oh, well, if I do it out over a year, it's that much money and it's this much money a month. And all right, that's worth it. That's worth it. I'm worth it. And it's starting to tell ourselves we're worth it. Instead of saying, oh, I can save a penny here and I can save a penny there. And I can, scrimp on me, but I'll spend on others. It's like, no, I'm worth it. No longer am I surrounding myself in poverty. And just little small things that we do to amplify this poverty mentality or to just perpetuate it. Reusing things because, we don't want to be wasteful, but also because they're expensive and you don't want to just waste things. And it's letting things go. It's letting things go. It's letting us be. It's freeing ourselves. The fear of not having because we hadn't have or because, it's just always been how we were. That cycle gets to be broken. And if we're not there yet, if it's still like, but that's so expensive, it's being able to work towards the point where we are free from the shackles of I can't and I don't have enough. And I'm always going to be lacking, waiting for the next shoe to drop. Even when things are going really well, thinking, how long is this going to last? I knew this couldn't last forever. That type of thing. We're starting to free ourselves from it. And it's because we're seeing things more openly, more honestly, more spiritually than before. We're not coming from that place of lack where the world can feel like it's a den of rats, where everybody will just tear each other apart to get the scraps that are needed. So how does this moon help us break this poverty mentality? How does this moon help us break this poverty mentality? How does the moon help Leo break this poverty mentality? How does this moon help Leo break this poverty mentality? Angels. These two. Patience and nourishment. Patience that we're on the right path. Patience with the way that we're moving forward. Nourishment of the soul and of the self. And of there being enough. Not of lack and despair, but beauty and prosperity. How does this moon help us nourish our prosperity? How does this moon help us nourish Leo's prosperity? How does this moon help Leo nourish their prosperity? Angels and spirit guides, show me clearly. Don't let your past hold you back. It's freeing you from the past because you're seeing the veil lifted from your eyes. You're seeing the hurt, the pain, the disappointment, the despair, the caregivers that always yelled about money or always, it was always about money. It was always about fear and instability. And now we're starting to free ourselves from that pattern, from that past. What is the conflict that is holding Leo back? What is the conflict that is holding Leo back? What is the conflict that is holding Leo back? Angels and spirit guides, show me clearly. Eight of Swords and the Hierophant. Trapped by tradition? Yeah. Trapped by tradition. There we go. Trapped by who we think we are supposed to be and then our authentic selves, who we holistically are. Trying to find the balance, trying to find the truth. Institutions saying that we should be one way and ourselves not knowing the way to go, the way to turn. We have the Eight of Swords in the public arena. There's something here where it feels like no matter which way I turn, I'm going to get cut. No matter which way I turn, something is going to go wrong. Everything is going to fall apart. I'm not going to be where I need to be. It has to do around traditions. It has to do around institutions. It has to do around these ideas of power and acceptance and purpose. How will this moon emotionally free Leo? How will this moon emotionally free Leo? Angels and spirit guides, show me clearly. Self-love. It puts us back in touch with us. It's like it's time to fall in love again. Not with everybody else, but with ourselves. It's time to have alone time. Just us with us. Which might sound, like a waste of time, but it's not. It's not. To connect, to check in, to be present within our own souls. That's so important. So how does this moon lead us to self-love? How does this moon lead us to self-love? How does this moon lead Leo to self-love? How does this moon lead Leo to self-love? Angels and spirit guides, show me clearly. A personal issue reaches resolution. We start to heal. We start to heal. We start to redefine. We start to see ourselves more openly and more honestly. Just grab this card. It fell down. Hold on. Oh, goodness. There we are. As you guys get to hear my squeaky, squeaky floor and chair. Okay. So what is trapping Leo? What is trapping Leo? What is trapping Leo? Angels and spirit guides, show me clearly. Guide this reading. The inability to start. The beginning is the hardest thing. So we have the Fool. And what I love about this Fool is that it's much more somber. The Fool in the Rider-Waite-Smith deck is bold and is brave. But I don't know about you, but when I start something, I'm usually terrified half out of my mind. And I like the somberness of this Fool. It's the hero's journey. It's the beginning. It's knowing that whenever you start, you will be laughed at. You will be mocked. People will not understand. It's something different. They don't get it. It's being a student of prosperity. It's looking at wealth differently. The way that it is done is not the way that it's going to amplify you. So everybody goes left. Figure out what the heck is right. You know, look at things differently. That's what you're doing. That's who you are. And if you put yourself into the box with everybody else, you're just not going to be able to shine the way that you want to be the person that you want to be. How does this moon free Leo? How does this moon free Leo? Angels and spirit guides, show me clearly. Guide this reading. It brings a new path. It brings a new pathway forward, a new beginning. How does this new path affect Leo? How does this new path affect Leo? Angels and spirit guides. Your dreams need a practical plan. It brings a practical plan to your dreams. Or it calls you out and says, your dreams need a practical plan. Don't be all willy-nilly. Go after what you need, what you desire, and what you stand for. That's it. Period. End of discussion. The energy we need to be mindful of during this moon. What is the energy that Leo needs to be mindful of during the May 2021 full moon? What is the energy that Leo needs to be mindful of during the May 2021 full moon? Angels and spirit guides. The Queen of Wands. Your temper getting the best of you. The fire of the Sagittarius full moon overflowing, amplified by the fire of your Leo, you know, your fire sign personality, fueled, added to by the air sign of Gemini, which is where the sun is right during this time. So it's not having this clear-cut, stabilizing, steadying idea of things. It's everything being blown out of proportion. It's everything kind of exploding. That's what we have to be mindful of. And it's everything exploding in a way that we think, that's exactly how I want it to be. You know, that's exactly what I need it to be. And then being taken by surprise. It's not being naive. It's not a princess. It's not, you know, being forceful. It's not a knight. It's a queen. And so here, it's being very kind of introspective. It's being very reserved. But it can blow out of control so easily. Just be mindful of that. Just be mindful of the fire just becoming too much. The emotions becoming too intense. And all we'll be doing, if we let this happen, is we'll be feeding the fire and feeding the fire and feeding the fire, and not feeding our souls and not feeding ourselves and draining our own energy. Our subconscious energy to be mindful of is the Death card. The change, the dying away of the old self, the rebirth of the new, the sense of feeling as if we are changing against our will, as if a part of us is disconnected from who we are and where we want to be. The subconscious message of the moon is the unexpected. The unexpected becomes part of this time instantaneously, and it brings us to stepping out of our comfort zones, to pushing barriers and limitations, and, you know, calling on strengths and reserves that we didn't know we had. And it leads us then to personal power, the solar plexus chakra, embracing our power, our identity, our ideas, our ideals, you know, looking at things openly and honestly. And then it leads us to our tarot message, which is the Knight of Wands, passion and fire. And it's very funny because this was the card that fell onto the floor that I had to pick up. So here, it's like we're going to want to, first of all, we're going to want to run away from things. And we're going to be looking a lot in the past. So stepping back and saying, I can't run away. I need to conquer this. And the past, well, it's over and done with. I can't live there anymore. I get to look at now, and I get to look at me. It brings us then to the subconscious message of this whole entire reading, which is the King of Pentacles, prosperity, success, bounty, and abundance. Being able to rule, being able to be seen, being seen as wealthy and prosperous and able, and calling forward our wealth. That's what this time is about. All right, Leo, I hope this reading has resonated with you. I wish you nothing but light, love, peace, and happiness. May harmony always be with you. I'm sending loving, healing energy to each and every one of you. I love you all, and stay safe. Let's end this reading with a meditation, a clearing away of negative energy, a raising of our positive energy as we embrace the intensity and the beauty of this rare, powerful moon. So take a nice deep breath in, exhaling whenever it feels comfortable for you. May you move forward in peace and in harmony, Leo, and may you have a blessed moon.